Hey there. Yes, you. I see you watching, curious, wondering what it takes to think like a millionaire. Today, you're about to step into a world most people only dream of, a world where Elon Musk himself teaches the secrets of building a mind that creates empires. This isn't just a story. It's a journey through ambition, betrayal, and breakthroughs. By the end, you'll see how ordinary people can rise above fear, doubt, and setbacks, and maybe, just maybe, you'll start thinking like a millionaire too. So, stay with me, because what you're about to hear might just change the way you see success forever. Asterisk. The late afternoon sun was sinking over Los Angeles, staining the horizon with shades of orange and violet. Traffic roared in the distance, but inside a small corner cafe, time seemed to move slower. Jake Carter, 24 years old, sat at a scratched wooden table with a half-empty cup of coffee. His clothes were clean but worn, his sneakers frayed at the edges. He worked nights as a delivery driver and mornings at a hardware store, yet his bank account never seemed to breathe above empty. As he scrolled through his cracked phone screen, looking for freelance gigs, a strange notification popped up. An email. No subject line, no familiar address. He hesitated before opening it. The message was short, almost unreal. You have been selected for an exclusive mentorship program led by Elon Musk. Location: SpaceX headquarters, Hawthorne, California. Date: tomorrow, 9 a.m. Do not share this message. Jake blinked, reading it again. His pulse quickened. Elon Musk, the billionaire, the man who built rockets and electric cars, was inviting him, a broke kid with nothing to offer. He whispered to himself, This can't be real. That night, unable to hold the secret, Jake called his best friend, Maya Lopez, a determined young journalist always chasing her first big story. They met in the park under the city lights, sitting on a bench where they often shared their dreams. Jake handed her the phone. Look at this. Tell me if I'm crazy. Maya read the email, her dark eyes narrowing with suspicion. Jake, this looks insane. What if it's a scam? What if it's some kind of trap? He laughed nervously. Then it'll be the most interesting scam I've ever fallen for. Come on, Maya. What if it's real? What if I get to meet him, learn from him? This could change everything. Maya studied his face, the mix of fear and fragile hope. She sighed, finally smiling. You've been waiting for something to shake your life up. Maybe this is it. Just promise me you'll be careful. I promise, Jake said, though inside he wasn't sure of anything. That night, he went home to his small apartment. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly above him. His mind raced with images of rockets, electric cars, and the face of Elon Musk himself. What would he say if he really met him? What if he failed? What if he wasn't good enough? Finally, he grabbed his old backpack, the one with a broken zipper, and began to pack, a notebook, 2 pens, his laptop, and a small photograph of his parents. He didn't know why he packed the photo, it just felt right. As he zipped the bag shut, he whispered to himself, tomorrow, everything could change. And with that, Jake lay awake in the dark, his heart pounding with both fear and excitement. He had no idea that stepping into SpaceX the next morning would pull him into a world where only the boldest mind survived. The next morning, Jake's old car rattled its way through the streets of Hawthorne. His palms were sweaty on the steering wheel, his backpack tossed on the passenger seat. Every red light felt like a countdown to something far bigger than himself. When he finally turned onto One Rocket Road, the headquarters of SpaceX loomed ahead. Massive glass walls reflecting the California sun, with a silhouette of rockets rising proudly in the distance. His breath caught in his throat. He parked, grabbed his bag, and walked toward the entrance, trying to steady his shaking legs. Inside, the building buzzed with energy. Engineers hurried past with tablets, technicians wheeled equipment down the polished halls, and the hum of innovation seemed to vibrate in the very air. Jake felt like he had stepped into the future. At the security desk, a guard scanned his temporary badge. "Welcome, Mr. Carter," the guard said, handing it back with a nod. Jake swallowed hard. It's real. This is actually happening. Moments later, he was led into a sleek conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the launch site. 2 other people were already there. A sharply dressed man in his 30s with slicked-back hair and a confident smirk, and a young woman typing rapidly on a laptop, her glasses slipping slightly down her nose. The man extended his hand first. "Derek Stone, Wall Street. I've already doubled my net worth this year, but hey, who doesn't want more?" His handshake was firm, almost aggressive. The woman looked up briefly. "Lena Park," she said quietly, before returning to her screen. Jake noticed the intensity in her eyes, the way her fingers moved like lightning across the keys. Before Jake could respond, the air in the room seemed to shift. The door opened, and Elon Musk walked in. Dressed in black jeans and a simple blazer, his presence filled the room effortlessly. He didn't need an introduction. His reputation walked ahead of him. "Good morning," Elon said, his voice calm but commanding. His gaze swept across the 3 of them before settling on Jake. "So, you're Jake Carter?" Jake's throat tightened. "Yes, sir." Elon studied him for a moment, then gave the slightest nod. "Good. You're not here to learn how to get rich. You're here to learn how to think. Money is a consequence. Mindset is the cause." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Derek leaned back in his chair, unimpressed. Lena paused her typing, finally looking up with curiosity. Elon continued, pacing slowly. "Each of you was chosen for a reason. Some of you chase power. Some of you chase purpose. Only one of those paths leads to true success. Over the next weeks, you will be tested. Not in what you know, but in how you think, how you adapt, and how you survive pressure." He stopped, turned, and looked directly at them. "Your first assignment is simple. Tomorrow, you will each present an idea, one idea that could change the world. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it must be bold. Bring me something worth listening to, or don't come back." The room fell silent. Jake's mind spun with panic and possibility. Change the world. By tomorrow. He had no plan, no polished concept, just a notebook and a dream. As the session ended, Elon gave them one last glance. "Remember, ordinary thinking builds ordinary lives. Extraordinary thinking builds empires." Jake walked out of the building, his heart racing. He felt as if the weight of the world had been placed on his shoulders. Tomorrow, he would either rise, or be forgotten. And somewhere deep inside, fear and excitement began to battle for control. That night, Jake sat alone at his small kitchen table. A single light bulb flickered above him, casting long shadows across the room. His notebook lay open, but the pages were blank. He tapped his pen nervously against the table. How could he possibly come up with an idea to change the world by morning? He wasn't an engineer, or a genius, or a billionaire. He was just Jake. The clock ticked past midnight. Exhaustion pressed heavy on his eyelids, but his thoughts wouldn't stop racing. He thought about his childhood, about the nights his parents had struggled to pay the electricity bill. He remembered doing homework by candlelight, promising himself that someday life would be different. Just then, a knock at the door broke his spiral. It was Maya, holding 2 cups of coffee. "You look terrible," she said, stepping inside. "Still no idea?" Jake sighed, rubbing his forehead. "They want something bold, something that could change the world. I don't even know where to start." Maya sat across from him, her voice softer now. "Listen, you don't need to be Elon Musk. You don't need to invent rockets or self-driving cars. You just need to be Jake. What problem matters to you? What's the pain you've lived that others are still living?" Her words sank deep. Jake stared at his blank page again, and suddenly the memories of those dark nights returned. Families without power, neighborhoods forgotten. Slowly, His hand began to move. He sketched out an idea, a low-cost solar panel system, affordable for working-class families, designed to bring clean energy to communities left behind. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Came from his own story. By dawn, he had something to show. Something that mattered. The next morning at SpaceX, the three stood before Elon. Derek went first, presenting a flashy plan for a new cryptocurrency platform. "The profits are endless," Derek boasted, his grin wide. Elon's face remained unreadable. Then Lena spoke, introducing an artificial intelligence system to help people struggling with mental health. Her tone was calm, but her eyes revealed the personal weight behind her project. Finally, it was Jake's turn. His voice trembled at first, but he steadied himself. "My idea is simple," he said. "Solar panels, affordable enough for every family, no matter their income. Energy that doesn't just power homes, but powers hope." The room went quiet. Elon leaned forward, hands clasped. "Interesting," he said finally. "Not perfect, but you're thinking beyond yourself. That's the beginning of a millionaire mind." Jake felt a spark of pride, but it faded quickly as Elon's expression hardened. "Don't get comfortable," he warned. "Good intentions alone are not enough. Tomorrow, you will face your first real test. And some of you may not belong here when it's over." The words chilled the room. Jake exchanged a nervous glance with Lena. Derek smirked confidently, as if certain he had nothing to fear. Jake left the building with his heart pounding. For the first time, he wondered, what if Elon was right? What if he really didn't belong here? The following morning, Jake arrived at SpaceX with nerves twisting in his stomach. He could already feel the weight of Elon's warning from the day before. "Some of you may not belong here." This time, instead of leading them to a conference room, Elon appeared and motioned silently for the group to follow. They walked through a maze of glass corridors until the sound of machinery and tools grew louder. Finally, they entered a massive Tesla testing facility. Bright lights, half-assembled vehicles, and engineers swarming around prototypes. Elon stopped in front of a sleek, unfinished model. "Today," he said, his voice echoing across the room, "you will be tested under pressure. Problems appear when you least expect them. How you respond determines everything. You have 3 hours to fix this prototype's critical issue. If you succeed, you stay. If you fail, you're done." The challenge struck Jake like a thunderclap. He wasn't an engineer. He wasn't trained for this. Almost immediately, Derek stepped forward, barking out orders. "You, tighten that. Lena, give me the diagnostics. Jake, just stay out of the way." Jake clenched his fists. He wanted to argue, but instead, he grabbed a piece of scrap paper and began sketching possible solutions. He remembered Elon's words, "It's not about what you know. It's about how you think." Meanwhile, Lena was focused, eyes glued to the code flashing on her laptop. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she adjusted algorithms, searching for the fault in the system. Derek grew louder, more aggressive, trying to dominate every decision. "You're too slow, Jake," he snapped. "We don't have time for your doodles." Jake looked up sharply. "Maybe you're too loud," he shot back, surprising even himself. For the first time, his voice carried confidence. The clock ticked down. Engineers in the background whispered, watching the chaos unfold. At the last possible moment, Jake noticed something. The battery alignment was off by just a fraction. With quick hands, he adjusted the design and pointed it out to Lena. She integrated the fix, and suddenly, the system came alive. The prototype lit up. The test worked. Elon, who had been watching silently from the sidelines, allowed a small smile. "Resourcefulness," he said, nodding toward Jake. "That is the seed of greatness." Jake's chest swelled with pride, but the victory was short-lived. Later that night, as Jake walked past the hallways of SpaceX, he froze. Ahead of him, in the shadows, he saw Derek speaking to Elon in hushed but heated tones. Jake couldn't make out the words, but he felt the tension, sharp and dangerous. Something wasn't right. And deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning of a much bigger storm. The following days at SpaceX carried a strange tension. On the surface, the mentorship seemed to move forward as usual. Lectures about innovation, tours through labs filled with futuristic technology, late-night brainstorming sessions. But beneath it all, something darker simmered, like a storm waiting to break. Maya noticed it first. She had managed to slip into the building again, pretending to be a junior assistant, her notebook always tucked under her arm. One afternoon, she cornered Jake in the cafeteria. "Something's off with Derek," she whispered, her eyes darting around to make sure no one was listening. "I've seen him making calls outside, late at night. He's not just here to learn, he's scheming." Jake frowned. Scheming for what? More money? More power? "Maybe both," Maya said. "But whatever it is, I don't trust him." Later that evening, while working on his project, Jake found himself sitting beside Lena. For the first time, she lowered her guard. "I didn't come here just for success," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "My brother, he struggled with depression. He never got the help he needed. That's why I want to build my AI system, for people like him. I don't want anyone else to feel alone the way he did." Her words hit Jake like a weight in his chest. Beneath her quiet, calculating demeanor was a heart driven by love and pain. He nodded slowly. "That's bigger than money, Lena. That's purpose." For a brief moment, they shared a silence filled with understanding. Meanwhile, Derek only grew colder. His charm was fading, replaced by arrogance. He interrupted, dismissed, and tried to overshadow every conversation. Jake couldn't forget the shadowy argument he had seen between Derek and Elon. The memory gnawed at him, whispering that Derek's ambition was far more dangerous than he let on. During a private session, Elon looked directly at Jake and spoke words that burned into his mind. "Every empire begins in the mind. But beware, some chase purpose, and others chase power. Those who choose power destroy themselves, and everyone around them." Jake swallowed hard, realizing Elon wasn't just speaking in general. He was warning him. And as he left the room that night, he couldn't shake the feeling that Derek Stone's true agenda was about to come crashing into all of them. The program had reached a turning point. Weeks of challenges and lessons had sharpened the group, and now Elon made the announcement they had all been waiting for. "In 7 days," he said, standing before them in the glass-walled atrium of SpaceX, "you will present your projects to real investors. This is not practice anymore. This is your chance to prove that your ideas can live in the real world." Jake felt a surge of excitement mixed with fear. This was it, the opportunity of a lifetime. Derek smirked, clearly confident. Lena simply nodded, her hands gripping her laptop as if it were an anchor. But just 2 days later, everything came crashing down. Jake walked into the workspace early one morning, eager to polish his solar energy prototype. But when he opened his laptop, his stomach dropped. His files, weeks of sketches, models, and calculations, were gone. Deleted. His notebook, the one filled with every idea he had scribbled late at night, had vanished from his bag. Panic surged through him. He tore through his desk, checked the trash folders, even ran to the security desk, but nothing. His work had been erased. Lena arrived moments later and found him pale, hands shaking over his empty screen. "Jake, what happened?" "My project," he whispered. "It's gone. All of it." She glanced around, her voice lowering. "It has to be Derek. Who else would do this?" That afternoon, Jake confronted him in one of the long hallways. Derek stood by the window, arms crossed, a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "You did this, didn't you?" Jake demanded, his voice trembling with fury. Derek tilted his head. Welcome to the real world, Jake. The strong take what they want. The weak get left behind. Jake's fists clenched, rage burning in his chest. He wanted to hit him, to scream, to make him pay. But before he could speak, Elon appeared. His voice was calm, almost cold. If you can't handle betrayal, you'll never survive success. Jake froze. Was Elon defending Derek? Or was he testing him? Elon's eyes lingered on him, unreadable. Decide who you want to be, Jake. The victim or the builder. And then he walked away, leaving Jake standing there, torn apart inside. For the first time since the program began, Jake felt his dreams slipping through his fingers. A heavy voice whispered in his mind, "Maybe you don't belong here after all." And for the first time, he wanted to quit. That night, Jake wandered through the empty streets of Los Angeles, his backpack hanging loosely from his shoulder. The city lights blurred as he walked, his mind heavy with defeat. Derek had stolen everything, and Elon's cold words echoed in his head. If you can't handle betrayal, you'll never survive success. For the first time, Jake thought seriously about quitting. Maybe he was out of his league. Maybe he didn't belong in a room with visionaries and billionaires. But then, he remembered Maya's voice. You don't need to be Elon Musk. You just need to be Jake. He stopped under a flickering street lamp, took out a pen, and pulled an old receipt from his pocket. And there, with shaking hands, he began to redraw his idea. Simpler, stronger, clearer. The files were gone, the notebook stolen, but the vision lived in his mind. By sunrise, he was back at his desk inside SpaceX, eyes red but burning with determination. Lena found him surrounded by scribbled papers. "You didn't give up," she said softly. "Not this time," Jake replied. "If Derek wants to steal my work, let him. I'll build it again, better." The day of the investor pitch arrived. The grand auditorium buzzed with anticipation. Dozens of sharp-eyed investors filled the seats, their suits crisp, their pens poised. Elon sat in the front row, arms crossed, his gaze sharp. Derek went first. He dazzled the room with polished slides, charts promising endless profits from his crypto empire. His words dripped with confidence. The investors nodded, impressed. Then Lena spoke. Her voice was quiet at first, but carried weight. She told the story of her brother, of pain and struggle, and how her AI could help millions suffering in silence. The room leaned in, moved by her sincerity. Finally, it was Jake's turn. He stepped onto the stage, his palms sweating, his voice trembling. For a moment, he almost froze. But then he remembered why he started. "My idea," he said, steadying his breath, "isn't about chasing money. It's about chasing hope. A solar panel system, affordable enough for every family, no matter their income. Energy that lights homes, fuels dreams, and changes lives. This isn't about making millions of dollars. It's about making millions of lives better." The room fell silent. His words hung heavy in the air. And then, applause. Strong, genuine, rising like a wave. Some investors leaned forward, already whispering to each other. Jake's chest swelled. For the first time, he wasn't just a struggling kid. He was a creator, a visionary. From the front row, Elon's eyes glimmered with pride. He gave the slightest nod. "That," he murmured, just loud enough for Jake to hear, "is the millionaire mind." But across the room, Derek's smile had vanished. His glare was sharp, dangerous. Jake could feel it like a blade. The battle wasn't over. In fact, it was only just beginning. Weeks passed, and the echoes of that investor pitch still lingered in Jake's heart. What had once been nothing more than sketches on a crumpled receipt was now becoming real. Funding poured in, and with it, the chance to bring affordable solar power to neighborhoods like the one he grew up in. For the first time in his life, Jake wasn't just surviving, he was building. Lena's project took off as well. Her AI platform for mental health gained immediate attention from both doctors and families, spreading faster than she ever imagined. One night, she told Jake with tears in her eyes, "This isn't just for my brother anymore. It's for everyone who's been alone in the dark." Jake smiled, knowing she had found her purpose. And Maya, her article, Inside Elon Musk's Secret Mentorship, exploded online. It was shared across the globe, and her name became known in the world of journalism. She had started as an observer, but her words carried the weight of the journey, inspiring thousands to believe that ordinary people could rise to extraordinary heights. As for Derek, his fall was inevitable. His obsession with profit over purpose exposed him, and he was quietly removed from the program. His ambition had burned too hot, leaving nothing but ashes. Elon's warning had come true. Those who chased power destroyed themselves. On Jake's final day at SpaceX, he stood outside, watching the rockets gleam against the California sky. The engines rumbled in the distance, each launch a reminder of what bold minds could achieve. Elon approached, hands tucked in his pockets, his presence steady and calm. "You came here searching for wealth," Elon said, his eyes fixed on the horizon. "But you leave with something greater: vision. That is what builds legacies." Jake felt a lump rise in his throat. He extended his hand, and Elon shook it firmly. In that moment, he understood. Money was never the goal. It was the byproduct of purpose, of courage, of refusing to give up. He looked out at the rockets one last time, his heart alive with fire. The boy who once feared he didn't belong had become a man ready to shape the future. And as he walked away, he whispered to himself, "This is just the beginning." Because a millionaire mind doesn't stop when the dream is reached. It keeps building, creating, and inspiring. Always. Wow! If you made it all the way to the end, I just want to say thank you. You didn't just watch a story. You witnessed a journey into the mind of a millionaire. If you want to take this even further and unlock the secrets that can truly change the way you think, check out the link right here on the channel. Trust me, it could change your mind, your life, your future. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Join us, and let's keep building a mindset that can achieve anything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Asterisk.